Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Today's Friday, March 12th. I have your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thanks for choosing to be here on your Friday to get filled in on the stories that you all are clicking on. We start off with an update out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've been talking about the criminal trial of Derek Chauvin related to the killing of George Floyd. Well, today, the family members of George Floyd had a civil victory. A settlement was reached, and the city council in Minneapolis approved $20 million in a settlement for the family of George Floyd. And we have their comments live from a press conference up on WKYC.com, so you can go there to check that out. But this is the largest settlement that the city has ever awarded in a situation such as this. It's $7 million more than the largest settlement that was previously awarded. So the city will pay $27 million to the family of George Floyd, the man who died under the knee of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. When we saw him on that video that circulated all over the internet of him kneeling on his neck for about 8 minutes last May. $500,000 of that money will go to the community around the intersection where he died, that was at the intersection of 38th and Chicago in Minneapolis. Now, this settlement was approved in a closed session on Friday ahead of the conference, which you can stream on WKYC.com with the Floyd family and attorney Ben Crump. Now, an update on the trial proceedings happening in the criminal case against Derek Chauvin, the police officer, the primary police officer charged in the murder of George Floyd. Jury selection continues, and now there have been a total of 6 jurors seated. There are 8 more to go. Because race is at the center of this case, it's relevant to let you know that of the 6 jurors who have been seated, 3 of them are white and 3 of them are people of color. So that jury selection will continue. The earliest that we will possibly hear opening statements, no matter when jury selection is complete, is March 29th. And as a reminder, Derek Chauvin is charged with 2nd-degree and 3rd-degree murder. That 3rd-degree murder charge recently reinstated, and also 2nd-degree manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd. Now to an update that's happening here in Northeast Ohio. Staff members at Rocky River High School have been placed on leave after reports that they were discussing a student in an inappropriate manner. Here's what the Rocky River Police Department told 3 News. Rocky River school officials reported to the Rocky River Police that they were made aware of an incident of a high school staff member having what's been called an inappropriate conversation about a student. So now the district is cooperating with the police in what are the very early stages of an investigation to determine if any criminal offenses occurred. Now, parents and other students at Rocky River were informed of this in a letter from Superintendent Michael Chauvin that said that they take the safety and well-being of students very safely, and it went on to say they've been made aware that members of the high school staff were speaking about a student in an inappropriate manner. An investigation was immediately launched, and the staff members involved have been placed on administrative leave until the conclusion of that investigation. Now, if any school policy was violated, appropriate action will be taken. The letter went on to say that the school is committed to providing high quality of education for students in an environment that is safe, secure, and free of harassment, and that student well-being is the top priority. We'll be following this and we'll bring you any updates as they become available. Now, in the city of Cleveland, be careful because carjackings are surging right now. So there was a press conference today held by the Cleveland City Council with Council President Kevin Kelly, Council Member Blaine Griffin, who is chair of the Safety Committee, and Council Member Carrie McCormick, who is chair of the Health Committee. Now, as a reminder here, just to break this down, carjackings are when someone comes up to your car when you are in that car and steals your car. This is not a simple break-in. This is not the situation where you leave your car parked on the side of the road and someone breaks out your window, which is another thing that happens often in the city of Cleveland. So if you want to check that out, go to WKYC.com. We have that press conference there. And just a reminder to stay safe out there and be aware of your surroundings because carjackings do seem to be on the rise in the city of Cleveland. In Mentor, there's a mom who is asking for help to help her little boy celebrate his birthday. Owen Caswell in Mentor is celebrating his 11th birthday on March 22nd. He's in the middle of recovering from MS-C. That's that multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, which is a rare complication related to COVID-19 in children. Now, his journey through dealing with this MS-C has been kind of terrifying for the family. His mother, Kristen Seiford, told 3 News that he wasn't feeling well, and she called the pediatrician. The pediatrician didn't seem to think there was an issue, but Owen wanted to go to the hospital because his stomach was hurting, ended up spending 16 days in the hospital, 3 days in the ICU, fighting for his life. She told us that there was one point in the hospital that he could barely open his eyes, and he looked at his mom and he said, "I don't want to die." And those were his last words before surgery. Well, thankfully, that surgery was a turning point for Owen. He is home, but he can't leave home for the next couple of months because a doctor said at this point, a simple cold will put him right back into the ICU. So, taking every single precaution, and with his 11th birthday coming up on March 22nd, his mom is hoping that he'll get 1,100 birthday cards. So if you would like to send him a card, or if you know anyone else who would like to send him a card, we've got the address on WKYC.com. I'm going to tell you the address right now. It's Owen Caswell, Caswell. Again, that's Owen Caswell, Caswell. And the address is 7117 Windmill Lane, 7117 Windmill Lane in Mentor, Ohio, 44060. 44060. Again, that's linked on WKYC.com if you want to send Owen a birthday card to help him celebrate his 11th birthday. They're hoping for 1,100 cards, so hopefully we can get him to that number. Okay, let's take a look at the latest numbers when it comes to COVID-19 across the world, here in the U.S. and here in Ohio. These first numbers come from Johns Hopkins University. Across the world, the total number of cases is now at 118,798,642. The total number of deaths across the globe is now at 2,633,768. And here in the U.S., we've got 4% of the global population leading the cases, leading the deaths. We've got 24.7% of the cases, 20.2% of the COVID-19 deaths. Again, these numbers coming from Johns Hopkins University, with the number of cases in the U.S. at 29,297,405, and the total number of deaths now at 531,276. Here in Ohio, we've got the latest numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. In the last day, we've seen 1,806 new reported cases of COVID-19. That's up from yesterday. And the testing that's being done as of Wednesday, there were about 46,500 tests done on Wednesday, and 2.1% of those came back positive. So just under 1,000 positive cases on Wednesday. The 7-day average is at 3%, both of those numbers below that World Health Organization recommended threshold of 5%. So positive news there. Now, the total number of cases in Ohio is now at about 987,000, and we have an update on the total number of deaths reported. As of today, new data released from the Ohio Department of Health shows that we've had 17,871 confirmed cases that have resulted in death for COVID-19. Now, with this new reporting system from the Ohio Department of Health, what we'll do is we'll tell you the change between reportings as we get them. So this is the benchmark we'll be going forward with. As of today, Friday, March 12th, 17,871 confirmed COVID deaths here in the state of Ohio based on death certificates. Now, in the last 24 hours, we've seen 115 new hospitalizations related to COVID, and right now there are 947 people in the hospital being treated for COVID. Out of those people, 234 of them are being treated in the ICU, and we've seen 6 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. That's down a bit from yesterday. Let's talk about vaccinations. We now have over 11% of Ohio's population completely vaccinated. That's almost 1.3 million people. And in the last day, about 53,200 have completed their vaccinations. Now, again, the CDC says you need to wait until 2 weeks after that shot, whether it's the single dose or the final dose in the 2-dose vaccine to be, quote, fully vaccinated, but these people have completed their vaccinations so far. And the number of people who have started the vaccination process, if you're someone who is getting a 2-dose version of the COVID-19 vaccine, that's now over 2,241,000 Ohioans. That's about 19.2% of our population. And here's a big number. Almost 84,000 more people have started the vaccination process in the last day. That's a high number. We haven't seen the number that high, so that's promising to see. Now, yesterday, during an address to the nation, President Joe Biden said that he wants every adult in the U.S. to be eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine starting May 1st. Governor Mike DeWine says Ohio seems to be on track to do that. He said there's no reason to believe that Ohio wouldn't be able to do that. He also mentioned, just this week, as of Thursday, vaccinations were opened up to people 50 years of age and older. So we're seeing appointment slots fill up very quickly, and he expects that to be the case for the next week or so. But Governor DeWine seems to think after that, those appointments will loosen up a bit. And he says what they want to do is get us into a sweet spot where we're not wasting doses. We're getting doses out as fast as possible, and people have the opportunity to register in advance for those COVID-19 vaccines. Now, here in Ohio, the governor has not yet set a target date where all residents in the state could be eligible for the vaccine, all adult residents, of course. But in our neighboring state, in Michigan, it was announced that all residents 16 and older will become vaccine eligible on April 5th. Now, that doesn't do anything for us here in Ohio, of course, because you do have to be a resident, but just pointing out that that's the sort of frame of reference for what's going on right next door to us. Now, in the meantime, of course, as people get vaccines, we are seeing people being able to get a little bit closer, and the Cleveland Clinic experts are pointing out that hugging is very beneficial. It's good for your health. It really is. Now, we haven't been able to do that for quite some time, but Cleveland Clinic psychologist Joe Rock has pointed out some of the benefits. He said huggings can decrease releases of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and other research indicates that hugs decrease your blood pressure and also your heart rate in stressful situations. Also, hugging can boost your immune system, and it boosts oxytocin levels in your brain. It also helps us bond with people. Psychologist Dr. Rock says that, we can detach ourselves from people and get locked up in our own world, but the physical act of hugging someone really does connect us with them and lets down some of our defenses. So there are some things to remember for COVID world safe hugging. Here's what the experts are saying right now. Hug only the people in your household. This can be an immediate family member that you live with or even a pet. Pets give very good hugs. I can vouch for that. Mr. Harry Winston the Puggle is an excellent hugger. And here's another option. If you don't have someone in your household that you can hug, it might sound silly, but hug a body pillow. Now, this is not the same effect as hugging a human or an animal, of course, but there is science-based research that shows that it can have the same effect. This is not me just throwing out a tip to you. This comes from the Cleveland Clinic psychologist, Dr. Rock. Now, if you can't do any of that, other things that you can do to connect with people, of course, use those video options to connect with people, Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, or some other video chat function. And the experts say, remember, in the meantime, before we get back to that place where we can do the hugging and we can really get the physical benefits of the hugging and the mental benefits, practice self-care. Take a bath, take a walk, read a book, do something you love, put on some music, dance it out, whatever it is. Speaking of being at home and living through this pandemic, about a year ago, a lot of us moved to working from home. That was me. March 19th will be 1 year for me that I have been working from home. And a lot of us over the past year have just been kind of making it work in our work from home space. So maybe now's the time to think about revamping things a little bit, because yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we will still be in this kind of little limbo period while we wait for people to get vaccinated and so on and so forth for a little while now. So if you want to revamp your work from home space, I talked with a celebrity home decorator. Her name is Shawnee Moran, and she has decorated the homes of Usher, Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, just to name a few. So she gave me some tips on how you can really make your work from home space work for you. We talked about dead zones and how you can find the dead zones in your house and what that means and turn them into something useful. And also some tips on what you should do if you've got a small space that you're working with or maybe a dark space. One tip that I'll give away for you that she said is, lamps and stuff, of course, but if you want to brighten up a dark space, bring in some bright decorations. One thing she suggested that kind of took me by surprise was a bowl of lemons. You can bring a bowl of lemons into your workspace in order to kind of freshen things up, and also that will make it smell pretty nice. So she's my guest this week on the 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney podcast. You can find that by searching for 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney wherever you get your podcasts. And it's also linked on WKYC.com/3 Things to Know. That's the number 3, by the way. It's not spelled out. All right. In Sports Illustrated's latest cover feature, they are talking to Francisco Lindor, the shortstop who was very recently a member of the Tribe, but was just traded to the New York Mets. And he's talking about some regrets that he has from the 2016 World Series Game 7 when the Tribe was playing against Chicago. Guess what his regret is? The man took a nap during a 17-minute rain delay. There was a rain delay. He went back to the locker room. He said he saw the plastic sheets out, which is what they put out so that the lockers don't get all covered if you spray champagne when you win. And then he went down to the weight room and he took a nap. He said that he was 22 at the time, and if he was older, he thinks that they would have won that game because it would have been different. Here's what he said. He said he doesn't think that he would have gotten the team together, but he would have gone to Mike Napoli and he would have said, "Hey, Nap, what do you think? Like, what should we do to find something different here? What do you got? Let's do something." Because what happened in the Chicago locker room is that outfielder Jason Hayward rallied his teammates with the team meeting, and they went on to beat the Tribe 8-7 in Game 7. But Lindor was well rested. He's saying he regrets that for sure. I wonder if he regrets what he said about, phoning it in during the end of this season in the playoffs too. Well, that's what we heard from Lindor. If you want to hear more about that, that's on WKYC.com and also the WKYC app. And here's some news that's just been confirmed, not necessarily surprising, but Tribe pitcher Shane Bieber will be the opening day starter. That'll be on April 1st against Detroit Tigers. That's away, but that has been confirmed. This will be the second year in a row that Bieber will be throwing out the opening pitch for the Tribe. And last year, he set an opening day record for the Tribe with 14 strikeouts in a 2-0 victory over the Kansas City Royals. Now, speaking of the Kansas City Royals, that's who the Tribe takes on in the home opener at Progressive Field. That happens on April 5th, and guess where you can watch that? Right here on Channel 3. We'll have all kinds of special programming surrounding opening day. Everyone is very excited for that, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. One more thing for you before we go here. Brew Boats are returning to the Cleveland area and the Cuyahoga River. They've started taking reservations already. It's a 100-minute ride on the Cuyahoga River. You can have up to 15 people on the Brew Boat, and it's pedal powered. So it's sort of bicycle seats all around a bar. There are 10 pedal stations all around a bar, and then a couple of bench seats. Here's another option, though. They have what's called Brew Boat Light. So if you don't want to do the pedaling, but you still want to have some drinks with your bubble, your safe COVID bubble of friends, you can opt for Brew Boat Light, which is comfy bar stools instead of bike seats. So no pedaling required. The Brew Boats will start running in May, so you can book those now. We've got that linked on WKYC.com. Here's the rules, by the way. Masks are required for passengers when you get on and when you move around the boat, but when you're seated, eating or drinking, the masks are not required. The crew will have masks on the entire time, and here's one tip. The crew suggests bring your sunscreen because nobody wants to get toasted by the sun while you're having your beverages. All right, that's it for 3 News Now for Friday, March 12th. I'll see you next up on What's New with your trending stories in the Clicking in Cleveland segment. And I'll see you back here on Monday for more 3 News Now. Everyone, stay safe, be well, have an incredible weekend, and I'll see you on the other side. I'm Stephanie Haney.